on it.
You don't have to keep an eye on it if you don't
I want
to.
I want you to get your ad revenue.
Oh, well, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. All right, you ready?
Yeah,
All right.
let's do it.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Can you hear yourself okay?
I can.
Move yours a little bit closer to you.
We good?
That's perfect.
Okay,
Yeah, do you
cool.
hear that difference?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. All right, cool. Here we go. All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of David's Saturday Night Sit Back. Tonight, I'm grateful to have an inspiring and multifaceted guest joining me, Tyler Reinert. Tyler's story begins in Naperville, where he played lacrosse in high school. He continued his academic pursuits at Indiana University, where he excelled in numerous activities and societies. Tyler was a fall 2013 University Division Scholar of Distinction, a member of the National Society of Collegiate Scholars, and the Alpha Lambda Delta Honor Society, and he made the spring 2016 Dean's List while being an active member of the Sigma Pi fraternity. Graduating with a degree in informatics and a double minor in business and marketing, Tyler's academic achievements set a strong foundation for his professional career. Tyler's professional journey is just as impressive, starting with internships at Delta Industries and Gillig, who is a transit manufacturer based in Hayward, California. He then transitioned to being an iOS app developer with Housemate, an app designed to alleviate the frustrations of shared living. His career path led him to a role in sales at Dick's Sporting Goods, but ultimately he landed here in Austin, Texas, working as a technical account manager, partnering with top universities nationwide to optimize their use of SaaS talent management software. But Tyler's interests and expertise go far beyond his professional life. Today, he's here to share his passion for fitness, overall well-being, cooking, nutrition, music, the NFL, bourbon, watches, investing, and additionally, Tyler and I will be discussing the mysterious disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. In a particularly important segment, Tyler will discuss the increasing mental health issues in our culture. Having personally dealt with depression and anxiety, Tyler has found ways to combat these challenges without medication. He will share his journey of managing mental health through alternative means after experiencing undesirable side effects from medication and successfully staying off of it for many years. Tyler, I hope that you're as fired up to be here as I am to have you. Welcome to your episode on David's Saturday
Thank you
Night
so
Sit
much for
Back.
having me, David. I'm very excited, and I have to say that was a better intro than I could have ever done myself on myself. So whenever I start looking for new jobs, I might have you.
I will just
Yeah,
gift
exactly.
this to you when you leave tonight. You can have page one of my my questions.
That was perfect.
Was that all accurate?
That was all. Yeah, it was very accurate.
What does it feel like when you sort of hear your own life summed up in about 45 seconds?
It's interesting because, like, I just, I guess you don't ever think about your accomplishments. At least me, I'm always just kind of like on to the next thing. And just hearing them listed off, I'm like, wow, I forgot I did all that stuff.
Yeah.
So thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome. You seem like you had a pretty successful college career.
Yeah.
In terms of like you weren't doing the bare minimum.
Yeah. I definitely, and it's funny because I definitely struggled. That was the first time that I really had a hard time with academics. Like in high school, I really had no problem. But yeah, college I had to work really hard for, and I'm definitely proud of what I accomplished there because I put in a lot of effort and a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Well, we will talk about those days, but before we do, I have a couple questions I like to ask everyone before we get started here. The first one, and I'm curious if I've asked you this before, are you happy?
I am very happy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If happiness was a list of ingredients, if it was a recipe, what's currently missing from your list that would lead to the perfect happiness recipe?
I think I would like to have a family, like kids, and I have a girlfriend right now, and we definitely plan on getting married and having kids. But I do feel like that's something that I'm looking forward to, in the future. And I think if I had a family, that would be the perfect last missing ingredient, I guess you could say.
Really?
Yeah.
Kids?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I have two older half sisters they were born when I was born when they were in college, so they're quite a bit older than me. And so they had kids. I think I was an uncle by the time I was in fourth grade. So I've grown up with young kids around me, and it's just really cool to see them grow up, and I kind of feel like I played a role in their life. And so I've just been around kids my whole life, and I feel like that's something that I have always wanted to have. as I get older, start a family and whatnot. So
It's funny because me and a friend had dinner together last night, and we are both in the opposite boat.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let me rephrase that. I'm in the opposite boat where I'm 36, and I'm pretty sure kids are not in it for me. I've
Yeah.
never felt that instinct of like my buddy Cole. He just had a baby. She's 5 months old now. He's loving it. He was so excited for her to be born. When he got married, he was excited to start having kids, and just like whatever that thing is that like you and Cole have, it doesn't exist in me
Yeah.
at all. And then my buddy that I was having dinner with, he's on the fence where he's like, I don't know that I do. I don't know that I don't. I'm more just focused on like not being single,
Yeah.
and, like finding a partner first.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to see like just how people can be on very different ends of the
Yeah,
spectrum.
and I mean, if you don't want kids, if that's what you think will make you happy, then that's awesome.
I have a dog.
Yeah, I have a dog. Sometimes honestly, dogs are better than humans. So, I don't know. Maybe that's the key.
He doesn't talk back.
Exactly.
He does weird things like he'll crawl under the seat and start farting while we're talking, which is great when you're trying to concentrate. When we met, so first off, I met Tyler because I was just in the gym one day, and I've made a commitment to trying to meet more people organically and
Yeah.
invite them on the show if they feel like they have something they want to talk about. And so I just walked up to you in the gym and asked you how you were doing, and then said, I have a podcast. Would you like to come on? And you said something, I forget exactly how you worded it, and maybe you'll remember, but you mentioned about how like sort of just approaching people in the wild can be very difficult.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes,
How you
yes.
phrased it?
So I think I don't know exactly how I said it, but I was like, I will do the podcast because it takes a hell of a lot of guts to just come up to somebody random and just be like, hey, you want to do a podcast? And I was like, you know what? You put in the effort, I'm going to do it. Because I don't know if I would ever be able to just go up to somebody random and just ask them a question like that. So I felt like, if you put in the effort to do it, I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna come on here.
Well, first off, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that very much. I wasn't fishing for a compliment. I truly forgot like how you worded it. Second, I wish more people had that attitude of like, man, David's put in all this work to like put all this together. Like,
Yeah.
sure, I'll make an appearance, because most of the people I invite on through Instagram or LinkedIn, and you would not believe how many of my messages just never get answered.
Really?
And then the third thing I was going to say is, why do you think that takes a lot of guts? Like, what for you is hard about that?
I think naturally I'm just a very introverted person. I like to keep to myself. And like, I don't know, just like whenever I meet people, I'm usually not the one that is initiating it. Like I've met two of my best friends I've met at the gym. They both came up to me. It just kind of seems like whenever I meet people, it's always them coming up to me. And I don't know if that's just my personality, but I don't know. That kind of terrifies me, thinking about having to go up to like a random person and be like, hey, I'm Tyler. But you did it, and I was like, that's impressive, so I'm going to say yes.
So this won't make you too nervous, I don't think, because you're in a relationship right now. But have you heard of a guy here in Austin called the Approach Coach?
No.
So he's I think what his little shtick is like, if you're single and you have time approaching people and you want to get off the apps, he'll coach you on how to do that. And once a month, I think, he will host some sort of event. And one of the ones that they did recently was he got together. Most of his clients are dudes. He might have a few ladies, but it's mostly guys. And so what the event was back in like February or March was they all met at a Whole Foods. And they put together some sort of game where, like, if you approach someone, you get 1 point. If you get their name, you get 2 points. If you get their phone number, you get 3. I didn't go, so I don't know exactly how it worked. But essentially, all of his games are or the monthly events are focused around working that same muscle that I'm sort of working on, of just like, the more you do something, the easier you get, right?
Yeah.
It's the most basic lesson that we all know on this planet is you practice, you're going to get better at something. And so he basically just puts these dudes in super uncomfortable situations where they can go hit on people they find attractive. You're like,
No. That makes me uncomfortable thinking about it. That kind of reminds me, though. Do you ever watch? It was just on like I don't know if it was on MTV or VH1. This was like in the early 2000s. That guy Mystery, who I forgot the name, but he was like this pickup artist. And it was the kind of same thing. He would take guys that were nerdy or whatever, and he'd teach them how to go out and talk to women. But he always had the most ridiculous stuff on. He was like, you got to wear a top hat and a scarf or like a feather boa. And his whole thing was, I think, like he called it peacocking. And that just kind of reminded me of that. You never saw that show?
No.
Oh, my God. It was a wild show.
But I could imagine it. And yeah. Yeah. No, yes, so I will say I have hit on a few people as well, not through the approach coach, but just on my own. And that is 30 million times harder than asking someone to be on your podcast.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
The podcast question is almost easy at this point.
Yeah.
It's like worst case scenario, they're going to be like, no thanks. But dude, when you're hitting on someone with the hope that might like go somewhere, the knots that I get in my stomach is just, it's insane.
Yeah, I met my girlfriend on Hinge. I just did the hey, and then want to meet up, and then we went from there, and it's been great. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think I've ever done a cold approach.
Good for you guys. It's sort of nice to hear that the apps are working.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like a lot of people are just on there to hook up, but we actually been dating for a little over a year now. We had our anniversary on my birthday, actually.
When was your birthday?
June 14th. I just turned 30.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Was it a dirty 30?
No, it was a pretty calm 30.
What'd you do?
We just went to Camp Lucy, if you know where that is, out in Dripping Springs.
Okay, I know where Dripping Springs
Yeah,
is.
it's a little resort. It's really cool. It's out like in the hill country, and we just had a nice relaxing weekend there together, and yeah, it was a good time. I'm done with the partying. I get like maybe 1 week a year I'll go crazy on vacation, but that's enough for me. I don't need to have a crazy birthday party.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got it out of your system.
Yeah.
Was it ever in your system?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Indiana. a lot of drunk nights in college. So
is that where Naperville is in?
no, Naperville is in Illinois. So Naperville is like 4 hours away from University of Indiana. Naperville's like 45 minutes away from Chicago. Very, very nice suburb. It's kind of sheltered, but I really loved growing up there.
Population roughly 150,000.
Yeah, it might be a little bit more now. It might be close to 250,000 now, but it's getting pretty big now.
Okay, so it's growing.
Yeah.
Take us back super far into the childhood of Tyler. What was growing up in Naperville like?
We never really left Naperville. There was like a downtown area, and we would just kind of do, I guess hood rat shit, as you would say.
Please define hood rat shit.
So this was in high school, and we were still doing dumb stuff, but like we would drive around. So my buddy worked at Dunkin' Donuts in high school, so he would always bring back boxes of donuts after work. And we would get bored, and we'd just drive around downtown Naperville, hanging out my friend's window with a box of donuts, being like, "You want a donut? You want a donut?" We thought it was hilarious, and it probably wasn't that funny to everybody else. Like, who are these idiots? But we thought it was so funny. So it was just a lot of stuff like that. Or another time, we found a tree branch and we put it on top of my friend's car. Drove downtown Naperville, and we were like, "Have you seen my branch? Where's my branch?" And it's just on the car, like just stuff like that. It's dumb, but we thought it was hilarious.
One of the dumbest things that I did as a kid growing up was I grew up in a town a little bit smaller. I think it was like 70,000 people when we first moved in. It's bigger now, but back then we would go reindeer stacking.
Oh, yeah, we did that too.
Yeah.
We did that too. Oh, my God. And I think when we told my parents that we did that at one point, and my dad thought that was the funniest thing. He could not stop laughing, and my mom's like, "You got to stop laughing. That's not funny. They're just going to keep doing it. You're encouraging them." But yeah, that was that's good to know that other people thought that was funny too.
It was not just you; it was me, and apparently my friends and I got into some hood rat shit ourselves. But yeah, dude, I think as far as like, that's not even causing damage, but as far as like,
no, it was just being a little obnoxious.
That was probably the most annoying thing. One thing I never did, because it got done to my house once because of my brother's friends, is our house got egged once, and the smell that those eggs leave is so nasty.
Really?
And they sort of get stuck to the
Because I know if it hits your car paint, your car is screwed.
Fortunately, I don't think they hit the car. But it just stinks. Like we
Yeah.
cleaned it all off, and then the next day we left to, I don't know, go to the grocery store or something. And we came back, and we all got out of the car. And as we were like walking past the wall to the front door, it was like, oh, it still smells. Did you ever egg anyone's house?
No, never.
Good, good.
I've been TP'd twice. Both times by dudes. I feel like if you're gonna do that, it's usually you go TP a girl's house or the girls go TP your house. So I was like, all right, what are you guys doing? But
Was it your buddies or something?
Yeah, yeah. And one time, one of my friends saw this group of kids that were TPing me, and he was like, "What are you guys doing tonight?" And they're like, I don't know, we're gonna go TP somebody. And then I got TP'd, and then I'm like, oh, I wonder who did that. So that was dumb. This just reminded me. You ever seen Napoleon Dynamite?
Yes.
Do you remember? I think it was the opening scene where he throws an action figure out of the back of the bus with dental floss, and he's just dragging it.
Barely. That's it. Yes, it's familiar.
That was another thing that we did all the time on the bus, and this was in junior high. And still to this day, I don't think I have laughed harder. Every day, we did it every day. Somebody was in charge of bringing the floss, and then we kind of learned that actually fishing line is a lot stronger than dental floss. So then we were bringing fishing line, and every day somebody had to bring an action figure to throw out the back of the bus, and it never ceased to get a laugh, and it would always be funny because you'd see the thing dragging back there, and then we'd be we drive by an elementary school and there'd be kids crossing the street and they'd see this action figure going by behind the bus and they'd be like, "What's that?" It was so funny. But yeah, that was another one of those dumb things that we did when we were young that I thought was hilarious.
The things we do that we think are hilarious.
Oh, and I forgot.
We think.
Yeah, I forgot to mention we had the best bus driver. He would come back and tell us, he's like, they're gonna pull the tapes because there's cameras on the bus. He was like, there was a fight earlier this morning. They're gonna pull the tapes. Don't do anything dumb. And we were like, all right, we got you. No action figures out of the back of the bus today.
So he knew.
I don't know if he knew exactly what we were doing, but he knew we were doing something.
Right. You got a group of boys sitting in the back.
Yeah. We were all turned around. Off. Like obviously something was going on. We were all turned around and we were all laughing. And so shout out to that guy. I have no idea what his name is, but I hope he's doing well.
The bus driver,
yeah.
The Naperville bus driver.
I don't even remember what bus number it was, but if I did, I would shout him out in that bus, but I don't remember. And then our goal was to get it from school all the way to our bus stop, and we could never get it. Finally, the one day we got it, we taped it up to the top of we climbed up to a tree that was at the bus stop, and we taped that action figure to the tree, and we were like, this is where he stays forever. This is the guy that made it.
Who was the action figure?
Yeah, it was some kind of Batman. I don't remember.
Fair.
But yeah, it had to have been Batman.
Was that the goal because the fishing line kept breaking?
Yeah, we just could never get it all the way from school to our bus stop. And then the one day we did, that was our biggest accomplishment. And I think we might have stopped after that, to be honest with you. But I know that was a momentous day in my life.
Your first major accomplishment.
Yes.
That set you up for a successful life.
I don't remember much from junior high, but I definitely remember the Batmans dragging behind the bus.
How many Batmans do you think you guys lost? Dozens?
I would say, yeah.
Those weren't cheap.
Yeah, well, we weren't playing with them at that age, so
I wonder.
Probably could have given them to somebody else that needed them.
No.
But they were entertaining, so.
I think in a way you did give them to someone else.
Yeah, actually, it's true.
I think that every day the right kid found the abandoned Batman.
I hope so.
With a string around its neck, wondering why was someone hanging Batman? Who is anti-Batman in this neighborhood that they're hanging him?
Yeah, I hope somebody did find those. I hope they found good homes.
They did.
Okay,
they did.
I'll trust you on that.
You said you didn't. If you exclude your two half sisters, did you have any siblings?
No, other than that, I was an only child.
Were they moved out by the time you can remember that they even existed?
Yeah. So they were. I don't know exact grades, but I know they were both in college when I was born. So my dad was married before he met my mom. Had them, got divorced, then had me. But they've been in my life ever since I can remember, so I think of them as just sisters.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you know his first wife?
Yeah.
Are you guys? Do you?
Not really.
No.
No,
Okay.
I don't think it was a very good divorce. So they don't. I've met her a few times, but we don't not. It's not like one of those things where we all get together.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You said you had a couple nephews you grew up pretty close with, though?
Yeah,
And nieces, too?
I
or-
got one niece, and the rest are all nephews. Oldest one is going to be a sophomore at Arkansas right now. And then I got two that are going to be juniors in high school, two that are going to be freshmen in high school, and then one that's I think going to be a sophomore. It's hard to keep track. I got a lot of them.
Yeah, fair. Did religion play a role in your guys' household at all?
Not really. My grandparents are very religious, so like that. I mean, they kind of tried to instill that on me, but my parents weren't really that religious. We were kind of the. It's gonna sound bad. I go to church pretty much when people die.
That's fair. You're what they call, well, not really. Have you ever heard the term?
The Creaster?
No, the CEO.
No.
Christmas, Easter only.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
show
We don't. I don't even go for that. I just go when they die.
Do you remember if your parents did they, since they didn't use like the Bible or religion, did they have any like sort of set of standards or code of conduct that they tried to raise you by?
Yeah. So they were both teachers, and I think that kind of instilled. Like I was always very concerned about my grades, and I think that was part of it. They had a really big influence on me. No, you're good. I'm no professional. But yeah, I mean, I think that had something to do with it, is just them being teachers. But and my mom would always tell me, like, I was very independent, and like if I knew I was in trouble, I would just go put myself in timeout. Like they didn't even have to do anything. I was very hard on myself.
What a good child.
I know. Yeah.
They just come home and you're already in the corner,
I'm
and they're like, well, do we even need to ask? He's already disciplined
I ate all the cookies without asking. I'm just gonna go to my room. Yeah, I don't know. And then like, I don't have like I know I did that. I don't really remember doing it, and I don't know why I did it, but they always bring that up. But I just decided I would put myself in timeout, and I was a very easy child to raise.
Huh. Of all the sports you could have chosen, you have soccer, football, basketball. You played lacrosse.
Yeah.
How'd you get into it?
So I was very big on basketball growing up. I thought I wanted to play basketball in high school. I played all throughout junior high, and I got injured a lot, and that kind of hampered my basketball career. I had a hairline fracture in my, oh my God, what do they call this bone? It's the biggest bone in your body. The femur.
There it
Femur,
is.
yes. Yes, I had a hairline fracture in my femur my eighth grade year, and that just totally took me out that summer. I couldn't really practice at all, and I just was not caught up at all with where I should have been to make the high school team. So that was definitely difficult to kind of realize, like I wasn't able to put the time and work in. So I switched to lacrosse, and I loved it. It was probably one of the best decisions I made. And lacrosse is a really fun sport. I think more people should play it. It's not very popular, especially not in Texas, but it's a lot of fun, and it's really fun to watch too.
I don't know a lot about lacrosse, but there's. Do you happen to know a guy named Stephen Covey?
No.
There's a kid at our gym, and I think he just found out that I have a podcast, and he thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
So he came up and I think he just introduced himself. I don't really remember. Doesn't matter. He plays lacrosse, and whenever he has a really good play, he'll come up to me and be like, David, let me show you this. He'll bust out
Is
his
he in high school or?
Yeah, I think he's a junior. Just finished his junior year, about to be a senior.
Okay.
At whatever high school is closest to BK.
That's crazy. I don't really feel like there's that many people that play lacrosse in Texas. It's more of a East Coast thing.
You know what? The other thing I just thought of too is that since you go in the middle of the day for the most part.
Yeah, you wouldn't be there.
All the teenagers go at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I'm there. I get to meet all the teens, and they know me as the podcast guy. But it's a cool little following, man.
Yeah.
I'm honored. They all think
you're probably like a celebrity almost over to them.
Just to them, and just to that gym. To the rest of the world, to the 99.99999% of the rest of the planet.
I have a feeling soon enough you might be.
I appreciate you, brother. That's very kind of you to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you love the cross, and what do you think you loved about it? Well, actually, wait, hang on. I can't not ask this. The hairline fracture in your femur, how'd that happen?
So it was during a basketball game, and it was, so most gyms, if it was a nice gym, it was a wood floor. and we were playing in a shitty gym that was like, it was like a rubber floor almost. It wasn't a wood floor. And I just cut and my foot stuck, and the way the doctor explained it to me is your knee's like this, and my knee kind of went like that, and it just, whatever, it was just so much force on it that it just cracked right there. And yeah, so that was really bad. That hurt a lot, and that's supposed to be the hardest bone in your body to break. So it's kind of an accomplishment for me, I guess.
Do you remember about 10 years ago? I'm guessing a long time ago. There is a video that came out on YouTube about one of the pro players who like tripped and his ankle like twisted. You remember the one I'm talking about?
No. Do you know who it was?
Let me see if I can find
Was it basketball?
It was definitely basketball. I
love a good injury video.
Basketball player.
It wasn't the guy that had his bone come out through his leg, was it?
That one, yeah.
Oh yeah, Kevin Ware, yeah. That's who it is. Kevin Ware, Louisville. That was disgusting. It was a compound fracture.
Do you want to watch it again?
Oh yeah.
Let's refresh our memories.
Yeah.
Last 6 points to the Cardinals.
My legs!
There's a shot by Thornton for 3. Thornton, he's
Oh, that one wasn't very good.
No, they don't show it, but I heard my leg. Yeah, that
Here,
one.
let's see if this. This one's gonna show
I
you.
see it. They're all hiding. I don't know if they'll show it.
I
but
wonder if they took it down for some
They
reason.
might have.
It was just too gruesome to be
Yeah,
on
that
the
was
web.
that was a disgusting injury, but yes, I remember that vividly.
I remember. So the weird thing with me is I don't get like. Maybe this is just a part of your and mine operating system that's a little messed up, but I think injuries like that are so cool.
I have to
I
watch
can watch
them.
it
I
like
have
7
to watch
times
them.
again and again.
Yeah.
Did you see the more recent UFC one?
No.
Maybe I'll bring it up. I don't want to search for another.
My-
one.
well,
I'll find it.
The most recent one that sticks. Well, you didn't watch football, but the Browns running back Nick Chubb, he got caught. He planted his leg and he got caught, and somebody hit him there, and you just see his whole knee just go like 90 degrees. It was disgusting.
I might either after we're done. I might need you to pull that one for me.
Okay.
I'd be down to watch that.
Yeah,
Or just like text it to me or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, man. That's weird. I played basketball too up until my sophomore year of high school. I don't think we ever played on a rubber floor. Wood floors were pretty consistent.
Yeah, there were 2 school districts in Naperville. It was District 203 and District 204. All the 203 schools had the good floors, and all the 204 schools had the bad floors.
For the hood rats.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They were out farther from the downtown Naperville, so like the center of Naperville. So yeah, they got the bad stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe.
Although they were the newer school, so I guess I don't know. I don't know why they didn't have the wood floor. They're trying to cut costs or something. But cost me, I'm gonna say I probably would have been in the NBA by now if it hadn't been for those floors.
Yes, you would have.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
What do you think the draw was to lacrosse? Like, why was it so fun to you?
So I had some cousins that had played, and I had a couple friends that were playing before that, and I don't know. I was just like, I don't know, we'll try it. I didn't want to play baseball. Like I didn't ever really like baseball. I gave up on football after junior high. It was just like one of those things. Like, yeah, I'll try it, and I fell in love with it. And for me, like with sports, I like sports where if you get mad, you play better. And that's one of those sports. Yeah, you can definitely play better if you get mad. My dad loves golf. He's been trying to get me to play golf forever. I get mad, and then you just play worse with golf. So I think that's one of the reasons why I like lacrosse.
You know, I feel like if you're a gym goer, that when you're mad, you can sort of harness that energy and have a better like a great workout.
Yeah.
Even the 2 friends I went to lunch with today, one of them was talking to us about how his workouts have been suffering because of some relationship problems he's having with his lady, and I'm like,
Yeah, it should
I
be
think
the
you're
opposite.
doing it wrong.
Yeah. Oh my God. Because that's funny. That doesn't make sense. I went through a pretty bad breakup like 2 years ago, and the gym was the only thing that saved me. Like if I didn't have the gym, that would have ruined me. But like I was able to get all my aggression out at the gym, And like all those feelings I was able to get out at the gym. So yeah, I don't understand that.
I don't either. Maybe he's,
Maybe he's not doing it right.
That's what I told him. I was like, I think you're doing it wrong, brother.
Yeah.
We need to change this mindset.
Yeah.
But whatever. Did you play all 4 years of high school?
No, so I got, again, injuries. I got injured every single year. And then my junior year, I tore my quad. I still have like a hole in my quad.
Inside, or is there something
It's like-
external you can see?
I don't know. You can kind of see it. You see like there's that dent there.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it rolled up, like it tore, and then the muscle rolled up, and they were
No way.
Yeah, and they were so the doctor was basically like, I mean, you could do surgery, but that's only if you're gonna like we would only do that if you think you're gonna be like a D1 athlete and like this is gonna be your life. And I was like, no. And I just lost. I had always been, one of the faster kids on the team. And then when this happened, I just lost all my speed, and it was just really discouraging. And I was just kind of getting tired of having to go to physical therapy all the time. And I was just like, I'm just going to enjoy my senior year.
Is that the same reason you didn't, or not the same reason? Let me rephrase that. Is that the reason you didn't get the surgery? Is because you just sort of foresaw like more injuries, more wear and tear on the body? Like,
yeah, and like I liked it, but it wasn't like I wasn't obsessed with it. It was just kind of like a hobby for me, and I feel like a lot of some of my friends, like that was their life. They were playing outside of school, they were training for it, and I just was kind of just doing it for fun. And then I was just like, I don't know. I should probably get a job my senior year, so I got a job instead. And
there you go, being responsible again.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I kind of regret it. I wish I would have put a little bit more effort into it, and that's kind of a common theme in my life. I feel like early on I didn't have the discipline and understand. You really do have to put work into stuff to get good at it. So that was one thing, and that I do kind of wish maybe looking back on it, I would have put a little bit more effort into. But can't dwell on the past.
No, especially that long ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I would have made that much money if I went to the Major League Lacrosse. Anyways, they're not rolling in it. I don't think by any means.
It's not a big money maker.
No, not unless you're like the best guy. Then you get endorsements and stuff. But I think like salary wise, it's not anything crazy.
Have you been to a Texas Stars hockey game by chance?
I have not.
Have you ever been to any live hockey game?
I've been to a bunch of hockey games.
Do you enjoy them?
I do like hockey. That was another thing is I did play hockey when I was younger, real little. And I think that was kind of hockey and lacrosse are a little similar. I think that's kind of also what
That's true.
Kind of geared me towards lacrosse. But yeah, I've been to several hockey games.
When the season starts back up, if you want to go to a game, that'd be very fun.
Yeah, they play
Cedar Park.
Yeah, in the HEB Center.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that'd be fun.
It's fun, dude. The games are. I think that this is the one sport that I can get behind because it's so fast paced.
Yeah.
For me, the worst sport for me only to go to live is baseball.
I
am
baseball.
just like bored out of my mind.
I know.
And
this is. I have this conversation with my dad all the time. My dad loves baseball, but so he's a big Cubs fan. But he records all the games, and he only watches if they win. So I'm like, you're watching a boring game, and you already know what happens. What's the point?
Right.
What are you doing?
Dude, your dad, maybe when this episode goes live, he listens to it because he's interested in his son, and then he hears me say that baseball is boring and just clicks off. And we lost him before we even got to the meat of the episode.
I was already talking shit about golf, so that'll get him to turn it off before baseball.
Maybe you should just tell him you were on a podcast. Start about 35 minutes in.
Yeah.
That's the only way he'll listen to the whole thing. The last thing I wanted to ask you about high school was social media a thing yet?
Yeah, and I had all of it then. Like I got Snapchat, I got Twitter, and I remember when all that stuff came out. I even remember I had MySpace. MySpace came out, and
Whoa.
I had MySpace in junior high.
Whoa, wild.
MySpace in junior high, and I still to this day I think MySpace was the best platform.
I do too.
I loved it. You could pick a song. You could have different like backgrounds.
Dude, the song was great.
Yeah.
That's like what LinkedIn needs to do. LinkedIn needs to bring in the song feature. So like you have your profile, it's 99% professional, but then you can get some fucking tunes on there.
Yeah, and then I got, some Pantera on there.
Is that what you would play if you could do that right
no,
now?
Probably not on LinkedIn, but I love Pantera. I'm a big Pantera guy, but I don't know. That's a good question. What would your LinkedIn song be?
Huh.
I I feel like it's got to like there's no professional songs.
You know, I would just do, honestly, for LinkedIn, it might be something like Whiskey Myers, who I had on when you showed up.
Yeah.
It might be like something Whiskey Myers.
Yeah. I think I'd go with something a little more aggressive. Like maybe like some Grove Street Party by Waka Flocka Flame. I think that would be I think that's a good representation of my professional career, I guess. I don't know.
See, I would want to put on like, do you know who Bring Me the Horizon is?
Yeah.
I'd put on like something from their newest album, probably. They're like, man, this guy's sort of angsty.
Yeah.
He's got some demons he's
Yeah,
contending
yeah,
with.
yeah.
Oh, whatever.
So, I'm an aggressive worker.
I can be. What was your so looking back on it now that you're 30 years old? Do you think the social media, was it a good thing, a bad thing, neutral?
I think at the time it was good. It was very organic. I think now the problem is there's just a lot of, first of all, the politics stuff. I can't stand politics. I don't want to see it on social media, but I feel like a lot of it. And I just feel like a lot of things now are more forced and fake. I feel like when it first came out, it was very organic and things just kind of happened and they were just, I don't know. I just feel like it was better when it first started out.
I agree. I would say that even like on Instagram, to go with a specific example, is when you scroll, I almost never scroll through my feed because it's mostly ads. And it's all stuff like suggested
Like algorithm,
for you.
yeah, the algorithm.
I'm like, I don't want to see this. I want to
Yeah.
see what Tyler's up to.
Yeah.
I want to see what Emma's up to. I want to see what my friends are doing.
Yeah.
I don't want to see what you think I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see my friends.
Yeah.
Where are my friends?
And I feel like all the good memes came out early on. Like they don't really, I feel like that's not really a thing as much anymore. I don't know. I just feel like social media used to be fun and now it's politicized and more like used for trying to sell you things than just for like fun, I guess.
When did you delete all of it?
So I deleted it after college, partially because I've had it forever and I was like, I don't know. I wasn't thinking, oh, somebody that's going to possibly be hiring me is going to look at this when I was like, 16. I was putting whatever on there. So I was just like, I'm just going to delete it. And also, like, I was kind of lost after I graduated college. I was like, I don't know, I'm in a new state. I had some friends, but not a ton of friends. And like, I kept seeing all my friends posting stuff on there. And I was like, I don't know, I get rid of it and see what happens. I got rid of it, didn't miss it, and still don't miss it.
Is there such thing as like a northern accent?
I've been told I have a Chicago accent for sure.
It's very faint.
Yeah.
But there's certain words or certain sentences.
Yeah, I've gotten
where
that before.
It flares up a little bit,
yeah.
And it got me to thinking. I'm like, is there a northern U.S.
There is.
accent?
There's. I don't know. Like, there's supposedly a Chicago accent. I don't really know what it is. But the people from Wisconsin and Minnesota definitely have like almost Canadian accents.
Where are your mom and dad from?
So my mom was born in New Jersey.
Does she have a pretty thick jersey?
No, no.
Come on, Mom.
Yeah, she was born there, but they moved all around when she was growing up. And my dad's been in Illinois. Well, was born in Illinois and lived there his whole life.
In Chicago or Naperville?
No, I think he was born in Downers Grove. I don't know exactly where he was born, but he was in that area. He never really left until they decided to move here.
Gotcha. Did you go to college the immediate fall after your high school?
Yeah.
And did you go to the same university the entire 4 years? Yep. How did you know where you wanted to go and what you wanted to major in?
That's a good question. I still don't know. Still don't know. Still don't know why I did that. Okay. I went to Indiana. I went to Indiana because, first of all, the campus was awesome. Like, most people think like Indiana, like it's boring, but Indiana University is beautiful. So I really fell in love with the campus. A couple of my good friends were going there, so I was like, that'll be good to at least know some people. And it was close enough to home because at the time I thought I would want to go home a little bit more. And it's like a 4-hour drive, so, not too bad. You could do that in a weekend. So that's kind of how I just decided on it. And I honestly was so sick of looking at colleges. I think I looked at like 3 colleges and applied to like 2. And I was like, all right, yeah, I got into Indiana. Let's go there. But then the major part, I don't know. Originally I wanted to major in business. The Indiana Business School is super competitive. They're always top 5 every year. And I didn't get a direct admit. And I like I said, I had a really hard time getting adjusted to academics and classes in college. So I didn't even apply to the business school because I was like, I have no shot. So then I had taken some like technology classes, I guess, gen ed classes, and one of them was a coding class, and I kind of was interested in that. And so then that kind of led me to informatics, which is kind of a combination of computer science and like really it's like learning about the flow of information in databases. And so I just like, yeah, I don't know, that sounds interesting. And then like I had heard, obviously at that time technology and like tech companies were pretty big, and I was like, yeah, I'll go to Austin and I'll get a awesome tech job, and that's what I'll do. So that's kind of how I settled on that.
And you did it. Here you are.
Yeah, here I am.
And then did you say, I think you said early on when we were talking about like at the very beginning when we were talking about everything you accomplished in college, do you remember like what switched in your head where you sort of started applying yourself a lot more? Or
Yeah, well, not even necessarily applying myself, but I kind of started to figure out like, okay, I can't just, I need to go get help. I need to go seek out tutors and start talking to other people that have taken the class before that were successful. Because that was the first time, like in high school, like I got A's and B's in high school, and it was relatively easy for me. And if I needed help, I would just go in, talk to my teacher, and get it straightened out or whatever. And then in college, I remember like I had this math class, and I went to go get help the first week, and it was like there was a line out the guy's door. I couldn't even get to him, and it was only for an hour every week. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to get help?
yeah.
And then I flunked the first exam, which I was like, oh my God, I've never flunked anything in my life. First college exam, I got an F. What am I going to do? Like, I'm never going to get a job. I'm never going to graduate. This is a huge mistake. What am I doing? But yeah, we eventually got it figured out, and I kind of started to realize like you gotta go outside of just like the university, and then I discovered YouTube, and I swear to God, I think I learned more from YouTube than anything I learned in the actual class. And so yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe I should get some of my tuition back.
Dude, I've learned more about podcasting on YouTube. YouTube is my go-to for almost anything these days.
It is the best thing in the world, and I can't believe it's free.
And he started farting again, so I just apologize if that drifts your
That's
way.
okay.
But you have a dog.
I have
so
a dog.
You're
He does
to
that
it.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, YouTube, anything, repairs, podcast. Dude, honestly, this podcast would not be in existence without YouTube. If I try to start
I don't know if I would be alive without YouTube. I've learned so much. It really has.
You still reference it pretty often?
Oh yeah. I mean, I follow a lot of the fitness guys on there. So I always look at what they're posting just to see if there's anything new that I can add into my routine. Or
who's your favorite fitness guy that you're following?
Right now is Eric Bugenhagen. He's more of a kind of an entertainment guy. He was a WWE wrestler, but he's a fucking tank, and he just does all these crazy lifts. But he does give a lot of good tidbits, and he does come across as kind of like entertainment, but he does have a lot of good tips, and I've been implementing some of them, and they seem to be paying off.
You know this guy?
Yes, I've seen that guy too.
I think he's the only one I follow. There's so many on there that
you got to be careful.
It's just like I don't need more than that,
Yeah.
And so I follow him, and then just by chance because of the gym that you go to. Have you ever met Abel Albanetti?
No.
He's what I would say is like an actual influencer, not someone who is, man, by the way, I hate saying that fucking word, but I feel like everyone thinks they are, you have an Instagram account that automatically makes you an influencer, whether you have 5 followers or 5 million. With him, he gets 100% of his revenue from his Instagram, from his shows, from competitions he's won. So I feel like that's like someone who's actually doing the thing. Yeah. But he works out at our gym, and he posts all this stuff on Instagram for free. And I like it because his workouts are, well, one, it's free. He posts videos of all of them. But if you ever decide that you want to create a ghost Instagram account simply for fitness, following fitness people, shoot me a text. I'll give you his name. Okay. Great page to follow.
Okay, yeah.
You've probably seen him around. He's a tank. So
is he one of? I know there's one guy there that I always see. I'm like, oh my God, that guy's a freak.
Is that Judd?
I don't know.
So-
He always wears tights.
You know who he was on the podcast, actually.
Is he? That guy, I'm just marveled
guy?
by it. Yeah.
Dude, he was on the pod.
Was he really?
You are on the same platform that
Oh
Judd
my
was
God.
on.
That guy's legs, I'm so intimidated by it. He's like, his legs are the size of me.
You know what I think you should do?
Huh.
I think, because I know it would make you uncomfortable, which means this is good for
Go
you.
up to him and be like, hey, I was on a podcast that you were on.
No. I was going to say you should ask him to do legs with him.
Yeah. Oh my God, he'd probably kill me. But yeah, that's.
No, dude. He's super nice.
No. The workout would kill me. No.
He's just immediately like, what the fuck are you talking about, twink?
No.
Get out of here.
No.
I don't even talk to skinny people. I'm not calling you skinny. You're in very good shape.
No, thank you.
You're welcome. But yeah, dude, Judd is a he's it's funny because this one of my teen followers came up to me the other day and he was like, what do you think I have to do to look like Judd? And I said, work out for another 30 years.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do to look like.
Yeah.
And it's just funny to me, like, this 18-year-old is like, what can I do to look like that now? I'm like,
I
there's
know, that's
nothing.
nothing.
Not even
Nothing.
steroids. Like,
Yeah.
you could go do steroids.
And you'll still
you
not look
still
like
won't
that.
look like
Nope.
that.
Nope. Hard work.
Hard work, yes. God, all right. I let us get off topic. Oh, what about, were you in college when you worked for Housemate?
So that was like our senior thesis, senior project almost.
Was
and-
that because, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did it start because you were having your own frustration
No.
with roommates?
It was so the major I was in, everybody had to do like either an app or a website, and it was a big thing. It was the whole year, and you had to come up with like a problem and a solution, and the app was supposed to be the solution for it. And we had never done anything iOS development wise, and that was something that I was really proud of because they didn't teach us any of that stuff in school. They taught us.
YouTube did.
Yeah, exactly. They taught us a lot of basic stuff like how databases work and things like that. But the coding language to make an iOS app, we just had to learn as we went. Like really, all of it we learned as we were going, and it was probably the hardest thing I've had to do academic wise. And it was a 4-person group, and like it was probably the most satisfying thing I've ever done once we turned it in. And I was like, we made an app after having no idea what we were doing, and it actually looks good.
And did it go live in the
No,
apps?
so we didn't do that because that's a whole other thing to get it on the App Store. And it was we had all these big dreams that we were going to do it after college, and we all graduated and then we were on to the next thing. But yeah, that was a really cool experience.
Do you know if there is ever a competitor? Like, did someone else end up doing the same thing
I'm
at some
not
point?
sure,
No.
but might have to sue some people if they do.
Let's litigate.
Yeah.
Let's find some lawyers.
Yeah.
I know one.
Yeah.
She might be down.
All right. Well, now we got to go find an app that copied me somehow.
Perfect. In thinking of like younger people that listen to the show, before we move on from your college career, anything else noteworthy in that time of your life?
So, well, I would say even before I went to college, one thing, and I just told my nephews this, who were looking to go into college, I was like, don't worry about being close to home. Go somewhere very different than where you grew up, because Indiana and Illinois are pretty similar. Not that I regret going to Indiana, but I think it would have been cool. Like my nephew, he lives in California. He's going to Arkansas. Totally different culture. And I think that's good to do, because just to get out of your comfort zone, go somewhere new. So that would be my advice to anybody that's, not in college yet. If you're thinking about going to college, if you're worried about missing home, you probably won't.
You probably won't.
Probably won't. You'll have a good time, and God would go somewhere different than where you're at currently. But I think people in college, I would say, don't stress out too much about grades. C's get degrees. And, I think I spent one too many nights studying sometimes instead of going out, and I think I missed out on some things. And, not saying that you should go out every night, but, maybe if who cares? Maybe you get a C in class, that's fine. Your job's not going to look at your transcript. They just want to make sure that you graduated.
Yeah, I mean, as a recruiter for a company, and knowing I have colleagues at all, I have friends that are competitors as well. I know most of us just care that you have a 3.0 or higher. And again, as similar to what you just said, I wouldn't say that means that you should only shoot for a 3.0,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like that test you failed, your post college employers are never
Yeah,
going to
they're
know
never.
about
They never
that.
know. They're never going to know
gonna
that.
know.
Never going to know.
No. That time I walked into a class.
Oh,
and
I did say it on this podcast, so they're going to know. But I'm just kidding.
Maybe they won't listen. Maybe they'll hear us shitting on baseball and they'll be like, I don't want to listen to the rest of this. And they'll click off.
Yeah.
When did you moved to Austin? What year? 2020?
No.
Sophomore year of college.
So my parents moved when I was a sophomore. So I want to
2014?
say, yeah, like 2014, 2015. So I just got used to coming back here, and I really liked it, especially coming from like in the winter time. There's snow and it's like 5 degrees in Indiana, and then coming back here and it's 60 degrees and sunny, usually.
Right.
Every once in a while we get that lovely ice storm, but
The lovely ice storm. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I fell in love with it, and I was just kind of like, I don't know. Usually, like a lot of people that go to Indiana, the natural progression is you move to Chicago, and I don't know. I just kind of was like, I want something new. I don't necessarily, and I love my friends, but I'm like, I don't know. This is just going to be like high school all over again because we're all just going to move to the city, and just kind of figured it was a good time for something new.
Hell yeah. Let's transition here a little bit. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions that one of my other guests asked that I ask a few people. And so I told him I would. And I think it's a good segue. I'm going to ask you what your relationship is like with 4 different aspects. And I want you, if you'd be willing to just give me whatever answer comes to mind
Okay.
as soon as I say it.
Okay.
What would you say your relationship is like with nature?
It's lacking. I think I need to be in nature more.
Why do you say that?
Well, I used to fish a lot with my brother-in-law almost every weekend, and we just haven't done that in a while. So I used to look forward to that a lot, and yeah, I missed that part of it, and I don't really feel like, at least where I live, there's like you were talking about that trail right here. There's not really anything like that near me, so I just kind of walk around my apartment complex, and it's just concrete. And I definitely think that there is something to getting out in nature and clearing your mind and just having a good time.
If we had met a month ago instead of 2 weeks or whenever that was, I definitely would have twisted your arm into trying to move in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like it a lot?
I love it.
Yeah.
I have a couple homies that live in here, and it's really awesome to have friends that are in such close proximity, but they're not roommates because we all have our own space. And one of them actually lives right here, which is great. The other one's in the next building over.
Yell at them through
Yell
the
at the
wall.
walls. We take our dogs for a walk all the time. But yeah, dude, it's just if I'd known that about you, that you'd wanted to get into nature more. The only downside to living here though is it's about a 20-minute drive to everything. So you want to go to HEB.
Well, I kind of feel like that's Austin.
Yeah, except in your case.
Except for where I am. That's the only reason I didn't. Actually, yeah, I don't know if you would have been able to get me to move now that I hear that.
Right.
I love being across the street from HEB.
Yeah. All right, second question. What's your relationship with your community?
Ooh, I don't know if I really have one. That's a tough question. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think not sure I really have one with my community, I guess.
Who is in your community right now?
Oh, are we just talking about like family or
family, friends?
Yeah, I mean, I got
who would you say is in your inner circle at the moment?
got a couple friends that live down here that I see decent amounts. I got my girlfriend that I see pretty much every day. My parents live here, and then my sister and her family live here. So that's, I guess, my Austin community.
Do you feel satisfied with your community as it stands right now?
Yeah, I mean, I could always, I could always have more friends, but I'm pretty happy with. I make myself happy, so it's not like I necessarily need to go out and. Well, that sounds weird that I need more. That I need to go out and get more friends, but you know what I mean.
When I first asked you, why did you sort of give me the answer you did?
I just wasn't really sure what the question meant. I was like, well, I was just trying to think like community, like, I don't know.
That's fair. No, what I jotted down was Friends, family, anyone that's in your life on a regular cadence.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. So, got a couple good buddies down here that I met in the gym.
Would I know any of them?
No, no. I met them in the Domain. I used to live at the Domain.
Oh, okay.
And that was kind of
Fancy.
same thing as you. We were all in the same building, and we'd meet up. And I met them in the gym. Seems like you meet a lot of good people in the gym.
I've met some good people at
Yeah.
the gym. Yeah. All right. Third question. What's your relationship like with yourself?
I think I have a very good relationship with myself. I know, when I need time alone. I know when I can go be social. I know if I'm feeling, like I said, I think you mentioned it, I've had some issues with anxiety and depression, and I know when I get those feelings, what I can do to kind of help myself out of that. So I think I have a really good relationship with myself.
Final question of these ones. What's your relationship like with God?
I'm not super religious, so I wouldn't really say that I necessarily have one. I guess I do believe in, a higher power, but I don't really know what that is.
Let's dive down that rabbit hole for maybe just a minute or two. What do you? Because I'm in the same boat. Especially in Austin, some people call it God, some people call it Source.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a story. And this is actually related to this tattoo. So this tattoo I have, the Roman numerals are September 25th, 2020. That was the date of my uncle's funeral. And so a little backstory, my uncle had Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is a disease that you slowly deteriorates your muscles, and then eventually your heart gives out because your heart's a muscle. So I was very close with him growing up. I used to go over there on weekends and feed him just to help out with my grandparents because they didn't want to put him in a home. They wanted to make sure that he was cared for. So yeah, he was living with my grandparents. My grandpa died in 2018, and then so it was just my grandma and my uncle. My grandma wasn't in good shape either. She had arthritis. She couldn't do a whole lot. So they had a lot of people living and helping with them. And then around 2020, my grandma got just her health went downhill, and she was in a coma for a while. And then she got put on hospice, and my uncle was freaking out because he's like, who's going to take care of me? Like, you guys are just going to throw me in a home. And I think he just couldn't take it, and he died. Like, he died before my grandma died. And then so we had his funeral. We all flew out there for the funeral, and then literally we all got back from the funeral, and my grandma died right when we got back. And so ever since then, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I believe in a God, but maybe there's something that's more than just a coincidence to me. Like, I feel like that something had to have a role in that. You know what I mean? Like, that just seems too much of a coincidence.
Yeah. The thing I'm debating with right now is that I'll tell you a different story, but with a similar conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, born and raised in Sacramento, California, had no idea what podcasts were, decided I wanted to start one. I wanted all the interviews to be in person, and I was sick of Zoom and Microsoft Teams and all that bullshit. I wanted to sit across from someone, have meaningful conversations. So I moved to Austin, and as I think about the 70 plus guests that have come on the show, there's a part of me where I have two camps I'm sort of in right now. There's one part of me where people might look at my life and be like, oh, David's real lucky. And I'm like, not really. Mm-hmm. I've worked really fucking hard.
Yeah.
The behind the scenes of all the editing, the financial, just all the stuff that happens that people don't see on the episodes has been to a lot of hard work that actually doesn't really feel like work because podcasting is so fun. It just brings me so much joy that, it doesn't feel like work. I've found something that that saying, like, well, find out what you have fun
What's
doing
passion,
and then figure out how to make money out of it, and that's what I'm doing. But then there's another side of me where there's some people who come on with these stories that are just so powerful, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to release this episode because I think this will literally change people's lives. And when I talk with those people, it's like, is there some sort of force that connected me with that person? Whether it was you introduced me to them or I just asked them at a gym and they happened to have this crazy thing that I never could have could have seen on the outside because it's their story, which we can't I don't know what your story is by looking at you. And so I am in sort of these weird two camps myself where I'm like, is there like some sort of higher power that's maybe just pushing us in the right direction? And if we have the ability to listen to those prompts, we can get led to where we need to go.
Yeah.
Or is it just that hard work pays off?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll never know.
Well, maybe when we die.
Maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be cool to get some answers.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry for the strain that your family went through during 2020.
Thank you. Yeah, that was.
There's a lot going on already that year.
Yeah, that was a crazy year, and I just I think that was a significant enough thing to get another tattoo on my arm. So that's with me forever. And also, it happened to be my aunt's birthday. So now whenever I see him, like, I got your birthday tattooed on my arm, even though it was a sad day too.
What's the day one more time?
September 25th, 2020.
Okay, that was her birthday?
That was her birthday and my uncle's funeral and when my grandma died. So a lot going on. Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
So now that it's been a couple years, do you ever do anything on the 25th just to sort of like in their memory, in their honor?
Yeah. So my uncle, so he got, because he was disabled, he got a lot of government money. And if you don't spend it, I guess they'd stop sending it. So he would just buy all kinds of shit. And so he would buy alcohol. He didn't drink because he was on all kinds of medications, but he would buy like this moonshine and shit. So every year we get on Zoom and we all take a shot of the jarred moonshine you buy at the liquor store. So that's kind of what we do for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you have an obligation to your descendants are descendants people that come before you?
I don't know.
Fuck. You have an obligation to them to always keep that tricep beefy.
Oh, I know. That's why I got it. That's why
you can't
Nope.
you can't let those
I
arms get out
can't
of shape
get saggy.
now.
No.
No, you cannot get saggy.
That's why I want to get more tattoos because I love when I see like a 60-year-old at the gym that's still got tattoos and he still looks good.
Have you seen I don't know if he has any tattoos, but have you seen the guy with the hat and the bear?
No, a bear.
Look on your face.
The hat and the bear. No.
He comes in like a top hat with a feather sticking out of it.
Yes.
You
and he
do
does,
know
he does
him.
Yeah. That guy.
Do you know what? Guess what he does for a living?
I don't know. Got to be something eccentric.
Marriage counselor.
Is he really?
Yep.
Wow.
But imagine if you went to him for counseling. And then you sign up at our gym and you walk in and you're like, is that Dr. Bob?
Oh my God. That's so funny because I always see him and I'm like, I'm not gonna, like, no judgment. That's awesome. You're at the gym, but I'm like, what are you doing?
I admire him. I'm like, the amount of freedom this man has.
Yeah,
Dress how he wants, act like, I'm a little jealous.
Yeah.
I've debated inviting him on the pod, but for some reason I'm scared.
I feel like he would have a lot of, I don't know if he could share stories. Right. But I feel like he would have a lot of interesting things to say.
Maybe
just based off of his workouts.
Yes. All right. So you put something down that I do like to touch on because at the end of the day, I do hope that there's something in every episode that people can take away to sort of apply to their own life. And when I read the form that you filled out, my admiration and respect for you increased because you were kind and genuine and transparent enough to mention that you've gone through times where you've dealt with your own depression and anxiety. When did that sort of show up in your life for the first time?
So, well, kind of two answers to that. I didn't really realize what it was until I had graduated college and was struggling to try to find a job. But looking back at it, I definitely had some anxiety in high school. But it wasn't that bad. It was just like I would worry about random stuff that like my friends wouldn't worry about, and then like they would always make fun of me, like, "Oh, Tyler's getting nervous," and that was just like, "Oh, I don't know, whatever." They're just giving me shit. But looking back at it, yeah, that was probably anxiety. And then college, like I said, once I started to realize, like, holy shit, this is not like high school at all. Like I don't know what I'm doing, and then it just like I was putting in all this effort. And I wasn't really succeeding in my classes as much. And like when I say succeeding, I was getting like C's and B's, but to me that wasn't what I was used to. And that just kind of made me feel bad about myself. And I wasn't taking care of myself. And obviously you're drinking a lot in college, so that doesn't help. So yeah, that's when I think I started to realize like this isn't normal, because like I would feel really sad, or I would get really nervous about things, and I would just kind of shut down. And then once I graduated, I had some difficulty finding a job, and that really kind of messed with me. And eventually I was like, okay, this isn't normal. I need to go get help. So I went to a doctor, and, not saying that this was wrong. Doctors try to help you, they try to help you right then and there. So I got on an SSRI and I think Klonopin, and it didn't really do anything for me. Like, it kind of helped, but like I didn't really have any emotions on it. Like, I was very just even, and like the Klonopins were like they were awesome, but that's not good. You can't take those every day. They really help, but like I was like, I could see me like getting addicted to this, and eventually I just kind of, and that's when I started working out more, and then just through working out, and I started feeling better about myself. And then another thing, and this is going to sound like bro science, I hope nobody turns this off, but the cold shower stuff, once I figured that out, that totally changed my life. And I was just kind of able to get off of it and manage it through working out. And again, the cold shower stuff, I really am a big proponent of that if you can get through it.
We are just giving everyone reasons to click off of this episode. The number started up here. Baseball comment, it went down here. Cold shower comment, it went down here. All right, so let me ask you a few things about that journey you took us through. You said that you would just shut down. What did that look like?
So it was just kind of like, I just couldn't do anything. Like, I would have stuff to do, but I would just be so anxious about it that I would just couldn't do it. Or if I had something that I was nervous about later on in the day, like I just couldn't function the whole day, and I would just kind of like sit in my room and just worry about it. And then it was never as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But that was like the big thing. It was like, I can't just be having days where I can't or like a day where I can't get anything done until this thing that I'm worried about is over with.
And when you say you just stay in your room, would you like be playing video games? Would you be reading, or was it literally just like in bed, just sort of panicking about your current state of being?
It depended. I mean, sometimes it would be like I just couldn't even watch anything. And then other times it would just be like, well, I have homework to do, but I'm just gonna sit here and watch a show, and once I get through whatever I need to get through, then I'll be able to do my homework.
So you'd almost just like wait for it to pass in a way.
Yeah.
Did you ever talk to, before, outside of, excluding the doctor that you went to see, did you ever talk to anyone
Not
about
really, and that was another thing. Like, if you I was kind of, I think it's hard for men to talk about it, and especially in college. Like, you're not going to go up to your bros and be like, "Yo, like, I'm depressed." At least that's not how. I was in a fraternity. Like, we didn't do that. But yeah, no. I mean, I kind of mentioned it to my parents, and my parents were like, "Yeah, like, you probably should go to the doctor." And like I said, they got me on medication right away, and that was just kind of like this'll work.
Yeah. Why do you, in hindsight, now that you're a little bit older, a little bit wiser, do you feel like maybe not anyone in fraternity, but do you think you had any friends that were close enough that they would have wanted to have your back? Like,
yeah, I mean, I know for a fact I have one friend that kind of went through the same thing, and we just never talked about it, so I never knew. But now that we're older, I found out he was on an SSRI, which I had no idea. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't think for a while. And also that was the other thing is like in college and in high school, like I just didn't know what it was. Like I just thought like, I don't know, this is normal maybe. Like everybody freaks out like this. 'Cause like it wasn't necessarily to the point where like I just like couldn't go out at all, but there were definitely days where like I just could not do anything until that thing that was giving me anxiety was over with.
knowing what you know now, when you have a son of your own, or even a daughter, when you have a child, do you think that if you were seeing like some signs of the same thing you went through, maybe you notice there's days when they're just, they sort of allow their life to just be put on pause for a day or for 8 hours or whatever it is. How do you think you would approach that with them?
I think I would just try to share my experience and just say, it's not, I mean, it's normal to go through hard times, and there's a way through it. 'Cause I feel like sometimes when you're in that position, you can't really see what's in front of you. Like you can't see past what's in front of you.
Right. It's hard.
Yeah. So I think I would just try to share my experience, and then hopefully they would be able to open up, because I feel like if you open up to people, then they feel more vulnerable and will open up to you.
Do you think it's a good, or let me rephrase this. Let me think for a second. What do you think about like what guys quote unquote like should or shouldn't share with people in their life? Whether it's to their buddies, their parents, their girlfriend, boyfriend, like whatever.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you were sort of raised in a way, even if they never said it directly, like in the city you were raised in, parents that raised you, like sort of just keep your shit to yourself? Or
Yeah, and I mean, I think part of it was like, this is just my dad's personality. He was very like, he didn't give a shit about anything. He could talk to anybody. Nothing bothered him. The only emotions I ever saw him growing up were just like content and happy. So I'm like, that's how I'm supposed to be. And I know nothing bothers him. Like we always joke about it, because my mom definitely has some anxiety too, and we're always like talking about it. He's like, I have no idea. I don't know. It just doesn't bother me. So, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't think that it was necessarily what I was going through was a problem, I guess, or that type of thing. And I don't know.
So with not the SSRI, the one that started with the C.
Yeah, the Klonopin.
What was it about that was so
that
awesome?
was like, that's like, I felt like I was on drugs. Like,
what is it?
So it's, I think it's similar to Xanax, but it's just supposed to be, I think they prescribe it for like panic attacks or if you're like super anxious. But like I would take it and I would just be like, oh my God, nothing matters. I feel awesome. And like just the weight of the world was off my shoulders. But I'm like, that's not like, you're not, when he prescribed them to me, he's like, you really should only take this when you really need it. But I was like, it makes me feel so good. Why wouldn't I just take it every day?
Right. Did you say that to him?
No, I didn't say that to him. But I was always like, yeah, you know what? And then luckily, like I was mature enough to be like, this is probably not a good thing to be doing every single day.
Yeah.
Which I'm thankful for, because I think a lot of people aren't able to get through that, and they just go down they start spiraling with that stuff.
If you said this already and I just completely missed it, I deeply apologize. Was there a side effect that you didn't like?
Yeah, it was just like, well, first of all, like it didn't really, the SSRI didn't really help that much. Like it would help kind of like just like the random day-to-day stuff, but I would still, like if I got really anxious, like I would still get like really anxious about stuff, and that was what I wanted to get rid of, was just like the part where I'd shut down. And that wasn't really taking care of it. And then, like I said, like I just felt very, like it wasn't that I wasn't happy, but like I just didn't really feel like I had emotions on it.
Yeah.
Except for I would get really anxious still sometimes, and that was what it wasn't supposed to do. So
do you remember how many days, weeks, or months you were taking the two before you were like, I want to move away to try to find a different solution?
I would say probably around 2 years.
2 years.
I got out at 2018. I got off it during COVID.
Okay. All right. And you said one of the solutions was working out?
Yeah.
Had you worked out much before?
No. So when I got on it, so I really, like, I have worked out throughout my life sporadically. Like in high school, I was always, every summer I'd be like, oh, I'm going to get jacked. And then I'd work out really hard for 3 months, and then I'd go back to school, and, I would just stop, and I wouldn't stick with it. And then same thing in college. I'd come home for summer, work out really hard and whatever, be in decent shape, and then start drinking and eating like shit, and then it would all fall apart. And then when I graduated, I got back into it because I had a hard time finding a job at first. So I was working at Dick's Sporting Goods for a little bit, and then I would work out, and I was able to work out then. And then once I did get a real job, then I was like, oh my God, like I don't have time to work out. But also it was just me kind of being lazy.
Yeah.
So I stopped working out once I got a real job. And then I think it was like November of 2019, my office, the complex, they opened up a gym. So then me and a couple of people, my coworkers, we just started to go to the gym during lunch, and I just stuck with it, and I've been doing it ever since. And that's when I kind of that's like 2019 into then. That's when I kind of started to realize like this makes me feel good. This I can do this if I'm feeling anxious or depressed. This will make me feel better than any drugs will. And that's when I was like, I kind of want to get off this stuff. And also, I just don't really think it's, not that it's bad to be on that stuff. Like if an SSRI works for you and you feel good, that's awesome. Stay on it. But I just didn't want to be dependent on something.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I can manage it on my own, why would I be on something?
Why do you go to the gym now?
It's like therapy for me.
Yeah.
And like, I just know, it's first of all, it's fun. There's just so many things.
It is fun.
There's so many reasons I
I
go to
had
the gym.
fun lifting with you on Wednesday.
Like I just like, there's just so many things. And this is another thing I love about lifting is you're never done. You're never done lifting. I love things where you're never, there's never an end point. And lifting's one of those things. And just overall health in general, you're never going to get to the point where you're like, oh, I've lifted so much, I can't lift anymore.
Yeah.
There's always somebody that's going to be stronger than you. There's always, and like, not that you need to compare yourself, but like, you can always get stronger. Like working out with you, I always saw you throwing those 90s around doing shoulder presses. Holy shit. Like I couldn't even get the 65s up after that. Like the most I've ever gotten to was like the 70s, and you're throwing around those 90s. And I'm like that makes me like inspired. I'm like, I gotta keep doing this. Like I want to be throwing 90s around on shoulder press.
You'll be thrown around 90s.
I hope
we'll get
so.
that 6 turnaround quick enough.
Yep.
Yeah, even Judd, man, you'll see him max out the hack squat, and he wanted more weight on it, so he went and found a rubber band and like finagled a way to he like stretched it out over the machine,
just to hold them
so
on.
he could hold on, have 2 more 45s. Yeah, you there's always, I've never thought about it from that perspective, that you will never be done.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. Just any kind of hobby that you're never going to be done podcasting.
I will never be done.
There's always somebody you can interview. You're never going to interview everybody.
No. If Peter Dinklage comes on, maybe that'll be the last one I do.
That's your white whale.
He's my white whale. Yeah, he's the unicorn.
All right, well,
I'm trying
Peter,
to get.
if you're listening,
He's probably listening.
yeah, probably.
Does your depression and or anxiety, this is sort of a stupid question. I was going to say, does it show up today? Let me rephrase that. Does it show up differently, or like how is it?
Not really. I mean, I still get days where I'm like, I can't do anything, and
Yeah.
like, but now it's like, I know I can go to the gym, and again, I swear to God, the cold showers, they work so well. If I'm feeling really anxious about something, I get in the shower, and all you can think about is the cold, and just once you're out of it, it's a great feeling, and it's takes care of that anxiety for me.
Did you hear about that on like YouTube or something, or were you just sort of like fucking with the temperature one
a
day?
little bit about, so when I worked at Dick's, one of the things I had to do was I had to unload trucks in the morning. This was at like 4 a.m. So I had to get up real early to go there. And like, I just kind of like naturally figured out like, oh, I turn the water on really cold and I'll wake up. But it was like, I would do it for like 5 seconds at the end of the thing. And so like, I knew that you could use temperature to regulate your mood, I guess. But like, I never really put 2 and 2 together. And then when I started going down this fitness thing and doing a lot of research and stuff on YouTube, and obviously Andrew Huberman's a big proponent of that stuff. I started listening to him, and then
Who's that?
so he's
I'm kidding.
I was gonna say, I was like, really? That was a genuine. Who's that? You got me. But yeah, then I started listening to him and how he was so obsessed with it, and then I did it, and I was like, the first time I did it, I think I did it for like a minute and a half. I was like, it sucked the whole time. And then when I got out, I was like, oh my God, I've never felt this good in my life. It was so euphoric.
Yeah.
And now it's a little bit harder because it's so hot out and the water doesn't get that cold. But like actual cold plunges, that's my goal eventually. I want to get a real one because I've done the real ones before and they're unbelievable.
The gym that I went to in California before I moved here, they were on top of, I felt like, trending stuff.
Yeah.
And they got a cold plunge. And it was literally a Gold's with a cold plunge is what it was. And so I was using that thing almost 5 days a week, or every workout essentially. And what I would do is I would go in the cold plunge first for 3 minutes, and then I would jump in the sauna to dry off and warm back up. And those 3 minutes, man, I don't know if it's the same in the shower, because in an actual cold plunge, your entire body is covered the entire time. But the first 30 seconds almost felt like panic. Next 30 seconds, you're starting to be able to regulate your breathing. Next 30 seconds, you're really getting your breath under control. And then that last minute and a half, I would feel things start to tingle. And sometimes it's where I had pain. So I would have like my low back would start to tingle, the tips of my fingers, sometimes like my collar, just like different part of my body's almost started to become like activated. And then same thing, when you get out after those 3 minutes, I can't
so
explain
euphoric.
why you feel so good.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you've never done it before, I would recommend it. And yeah, you got to stick with it for at least more than a minute, because like you said, the minute sucks, and then after that, I feel like you start to get used to it, and then
you gotta be able to get self-regulated while you're in the water, and then you can get out. Don't get out while you're panicking.
No.
Before we sort of move on from, I feel like this is a very natural transition into some fitness and diet questions I have for you, and then the topic I'm really excited for. But before we move on from this section, anything else that you think is worth note that you would like to talk about?
No, I think the mental health stuff, I really think I got out what I wanted to say about that.
Let me ask you one more question. When you just sort of observe the world from where you sit, from the chair of your job, when you're at the gym, people you talk to, do you have any observations about where you think mental health is going in the United States? And I'll just caveat this by saying we are no experts. We do not study this. We are not psychologists. We are not statisticians.
Just a couple of bros.
We are just a couple of bros that observe things and draw conclusions from these things and then make very broad generalizations about them. But what have you observed about mental health in the U.S.?
I feel like it's more and more people are coming out saying, I have anxiety and depression. That's awesome. I think, we should talk about it more. The one thing I do think is a little concerning is that we're just all going towards drugs as the first, the first step. I feel like you should try, maybe if you're really depressed and it's a really bad situation, then I think medication would be the best thing to do. But just try some other things first before you go to the medication, because I think a lot of people get on it and it's not as effective as it could be, and then that just kind of makes you feel worse, because you're like, well, if this isn't working, then what else is there?
Agreed. Fitness and diet.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your diet works for you right now?
I do. I'm trying to bulk, because I'm trying to get stronger.
How much do you weigh?
That depends. if I'm eating enough, I'm around 160 to 165. I'm trying to get to 170, but usually I'm around 155, 160.
Do you have a goal that you would like to get to?
I'd like to gain 10 pounds. I'd like to get to 170, just because I just want to get stronger right now. Like when I first started out, it was all a lot of like bodybuilding. Just I wanted aesthetic stuff, which is nothing's wrong with that. If you just want to look good, do that. You're still exercising. That's still an awesome thing. But I kind of got bored with doing really high reps, and now I want to start getting stronger.
Yeah. Got to stick to that 8 to 12 rep range, baby.
Yeah.
Hypertrophy. Mm-hmm. That's what you need in your life. What do you want your diet to look like?
So I just need to eat more calories. I'm not really tracking right now, but I think my diet doesn't really change. It's just either more calories or less calories. And I think I eat a lot of meat and vegetables. I don't eat so much fruit, but I do try to eat fruit. But my main thing for me is just a lot of red meat and get my vegetables in.
A lot of red meat?
Yeah.
Why red meat specifically? And I have nothing against that.
Yeah.
I love meat. I had a lot of red meat at lunch today. That's all I had at lunch today. There was no turkey. There was no chicken. It was all reds, baby.
Well, right now I'm on a lot of the red meat just because it's higher in calorie. Like I said, I'm trying to gain weight, and there's no fat in chicken. There's no fat in turkey. Fat is good for you. You shouldn't be afraid of fat. You need fat. But right now I'm just eating a lot more red meat just because it's higher in calorie, and everybody loves steak.
So if you're shopping for like ground beef, because that is, you can literally choose like, do I want the 90-10 split,
Yeah.
the 85-15? If you were to go buy ground beef on the way home tonight, what percentage ratio would you get?
Probably 90-10. That's
that is
that's
a little
it's
leaner.
a little leaner, but I was on the 93-7 for a while.
Jesus.
Yeah, which is like
You
it's
really
still
like
good.
that shit dry, don't you?
I don't mind it. As long as it's 80% as good as the real thing. But yeah, no, I get 90-10 now. I don't know.
You're really going wild, Tyler.
Yeah, I know.
With that 90-10. Soon you'll be at 85-15 and
Yeah,
I'll be really concerned.
I know.
What's your favorite meal to cook at home right now?
Oof. Honestly, I just like a good steak, and I make these really good roasted potatoes in the air fryer that I'm obsessed with.
I need to get an air fryer, don't I?
Yeah. Oh, you don't have an air fryer? Wow, you're fucking up.
Jesus Christ.
It'll change your
You're
life.
fucking up.
It'll change your life.
What else do you use it for outside of potatoes?
Pretty much everything. Like I will
You're
make.
fucking up. Thanks.
I'll put my vegetables in it. So like I'll put Brussels sprouts in it. It's good to reheat stuff too.
I've
But
heard this.
I make like a chicken nuggets, like a healthier version of chicken nuggets that I'll put in the air fryer, and those are really good. But yeah, pretty much everything. Even like just like frozen French fries, those are really good in there. I'll get the sweet potato fries.
Onion rings?
Onion rings, you put onion rings in there. It's almost as good as deep fried. It's very close.
So I like 3 weeks ago at HEB, I got a bag of onion rings, and the only reason I haven't cooked them is because I
they
don't
don't
want
wanna
to
put 'em
turn
in
the
the oven.
oven.
Yeah.
And dude, I've had this itch to have onion rings for like 3 weeks now. And
You can't
if
have
I
you
just
can't
had an air
you can't you
fryer-
can't have oven onion rings. You got to have air fryer onion rings.
Okay.
Don't open that bag till you get an air fryer.
Yes, sir.
They're not
I
even
will-
that. I don't even think they're. You could get a cheap one. They're not. I don't think they're not that expensive these days.
Is your if you had to give we have roughly, do you eat breakfast?
I try to.
So we have, let's say, 14 meals a week between our lunches and our dinners,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of those 14 meals, what is the split of how many you cook at home versus how many you eat out?
I would say almost all of my meals at home. Almost all of my meals I cook.
Good job.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I will go out on a date night and eat. Go out to dinner one night a week, probably, maybe 2 times if we're feeling fancy, but usually just once a week. And then otherwise, I cook, and that's another thing. Like, working out opened so many doors for me because that's when I started to realize, like, oh, maybe I should, watch what I'm eating. If I'm doing all this stuff in the gym, I got to take care of myself outside of the gym too. And then I started looking stuff up on YouTube, and I started learning about calories and macros and all that stuff. And that really, yeah, that's how I started to learn how to cook, just off YouTube.
How do you feel now when you look at yourself in the mirror? You happy with what you see?
Yeah, I am definitely happy. I gotta, I would like to be bigger. I think everybody wants to be bigger, but I went through a point when I first started where I got really lean because, I wanted to be I just wanted to look ripped. That's not really sustainable. And I was walking like 15,000 steps a day.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, a lot.
How were you doing that?
Just at the Domain, I'd go out, like, I'd walk in the morning, I'd walk the entire circle or the whole square of the mall. I'd do that a couple times a day, and then in the summertime I would just do it in the morning and then at night. And yeah, I was very lean.
So here's why I said holy fuck, is because I'm part of a walking group, and we go for a 5-mile route every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. If you ever want to join, if your girlfriend wants to join, would love to see you out there. And it takes us 2.5 hours, and it's roughly 10,000 steps.
Yeah, no, I
So
spent a
if you
lot
were
of
getting
time
to
walking.
15,
Yeah.
that means you were doing like 3.5 hours a day,
Yep.
give or take. Did you have your dog at the time?
Yeah, I had my dog, and
Would he be joining you for
Oh,
these
yeah.
walks? Was he ripped as well?
oh yeah.
What kind of dog is he?
He is an Aussie Doodle, although I think I don't know how genuine he is because he doesn't look like an Aussie Doodle, but that's what he's supposed to be.
Well, at least does he look sort of like an Aussie Doodle?
Yeah, he looks more like an Aussie than a poodle, but
because
know.
This
I don't
guy's,
care.
This guy's just an enigma.
yeah.
Like, when you look at him, what do you see? Like, Nothing, right?
Dog.
Right, that's what I'm saying. he's like, he's dog.
Yeah.
That was a great answer. Oh my gosh. All right, cool. Let me ask you this. So there's a lot of people I'd imagine that are into fitness and whatnot, being healthier. Do you have any hacks that you would care to share with the audience?
Yeah, so this was something that seems obvious, but I didn't even really think about it at the time, but you need to figure out how to make meals that you like. And I don't know if your goals are trying to lose weight. I'm assuming that's what this would be if you're trying to get into fitness. Try to find meals that you like normally and just make a healthier version of it. Because that was, when I first started, I was a little heavier than I wanted to be. Like, I'd always been super skinny when I was younger, but I was about 30 pounds heavier than I am right now. And I didn't really like the way I looked. So I found this guy, Greg Doucette, on YouTube. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I think I have.
Yeah, but he was big on just making lower calorie versions of the meals you already like. And that's when I started realizing, like, oh, you can buy ground beef that's lower in fat, and you can buy buns that are lower in calories, and you can buy cheese that's lower in calories, and I can still have a cheeseburger, and it's maybe not as good as In-N-Out or whatever, but 80% is good.
Right.
So I think that's a big thing, is find things that you like to eat and try to figure out a way to make it lower calorie.
It sounds like a hack, but it really is. It's so easy, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll do the same thing. I'll be like, okay, what was I craving this week? I was craving Indian food. So then I'll put together a recipe of, I'll look it up on either YouTube or just Google, and then I will go to the store and I will get all the ingredients and I will come back home and make it in my kitchen. And, it's healthier, it's cheaper, like it's just knocking off all these boxes
it's satisfying when it's done. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I would add is be like, all right, if I want your craving is like Chewy's or Mexican, just go do it yourself.
Yeah.
And then you'll have leftovers and
And you also you don't realize how much oil and stuff that that's why restaurant food tastes so good, because they put way more oil, way more butter, way more salt. Not that salt's necessarily bad for you, but they put way more bad stuff in it than you ever would.
Probably more salt than you would ever need.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did music and guitar playing come into your life?
I don't know. It just kind of was a thing that my dad and I both started doing we both started taking lessons in 4th grade. And this is a common theme in my life where I didn't really put any effort into it. I would get really frustrated with it. And so I'd go months where I didn't play it, and then I'd pick it up again, and then I'd play it for a couple months, and I wouldn't do anything with it. And then I went to college and I didn't play it for like 4 years. Then I graduated and I kind of started to get back into it. But then I think like a lot of people around COVID started to get back into it, and then I've been really into it ever since. And it's just I'm not awesome at it by any means, but it's just another one of those things that it's just fun to look up and do research on other guitar players and learn songs and learn techniques from them. And so it's just another thing that I do outside of working out in my job that makes me happy and takes my mind off of things.
First off, I'm glad you found something that makes you happy, because I like all my friends to be happy. I like all humans to be happy.
Yeah.
In 2024, how consistent have you been with playing?
I'm never going to be as consistent as I want to be, but I've been trying to play every day for at least 15 minutes. I would like to get an hour in. But I mean, if I wanted to get really good at it, I would have to be putting in like 3 or 4 hours a day. And unfortunately, I don't have time to do that now with work and all that.
Sure.
But it's just a fun thing to do. And, it's just another hobby of mine.
Outside of the joy that it brings you, do you need anything else from it? Or is that enough for you at the moment?
No, I mean, I don't have any desire to go play in front of anybody. I don't really need to be in a band. It's just not yet. I mean, I think eventually I might want to do that, but it's just fun. I just like learning stuff, honestly. Like I said earlier about going on YouTube and just learning about fitness. It's just another thing that you can learn, and it's another thing that you're never done learning. You're never done. Like, I'm never going to get to the point where, okay, I've played guitar for this many hours. Now I'm done. I'm not going to get better. It's something you can always work at, and it's something that I can do probably till I'm dead.
You could, yeah. As long as your fingers are working,
yeah,
and you got a leg to set
yeah.
it on. Do you think that you could be good enough? I don't know if you've ever been in, not a Starbucks, but like a mom and pop. Think of like a Mozart's. Do you think you could? You know
Well,
what Mozart's
I'll stop
is?
you right here. I can't sing, so.
Well, you don't have to
Yeah.
sing. Do you think you would be good enough to show up at a place like Mozart's and just strum
I
for
would-
an hour?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have to do a little bit of practice.
Sure.
But I could do that.
But
yeah.
you could pull off something like that and not.
I could.
Be,
I'll put it this way. I'm good enough to make you think I'm good if you don't play guitar.
I don't play guitar.
So yeah, then you might think I'm decent.
Do you think you would want to do that? Would that be like bring you a sense of accomplishment to be like, shit, I just played for 40 minutes at Mozart's?
I think it would, because that's something that thinking about that now kind of terrifies me. But I think if I were to do it, I would feel good. And I do think that I like playing guitar, so I do think if that was eventually I should do that, and I think that would definitely scare me. But I think it's good to get out of your comfort zone.
Outside of playing for with your dad, or for I don't know if you had played for family at Christmas time or whatever, have you ever done a public performance of any sort?
No, just in front of family and stuff like that.
You want to do your first tonight?
I'll give you a little minute or so snippet, maybe.
Give us a minute.
All right, we'll do some Nutshell by Alice in Chains.
All right, fair. And while he's getting the guitar out, I will. Oh, I know what I'll talk about. If you guys are enjoying this episode, if you have stuck with us for an hour and 35 minutes, I'm assuming it's not because you hate it. You must be enjoying it. So if you're enjoying this episode, I would ask that you do me one of a couple favors. One, share this episode with someone. Maybe someone who's never heard of DSNSB. Maybe someone who in your own life they have expressed to you that they've been dealing with the demons of depression and anxiety. Maybe send it to them and just be like, hey, this Tyler dude, I think he said some good stuff and you could get something out of it. The other way that you could help the show that would mean the world to me is the following. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, give us a 5-star review on Spotify, and go give us a 5-star review and a written review on Apple Podcasts. And the reason I ask you guys to do these 3 things is because I do want to grow the show to bring messages like the ones Tyler brought to as many people as possible, to get people out of their comfort zone doing things that maybe they want to do but they've been too scared to do. And you think that hearing Tyler's episode could help them get over that hump, and that's why I want you to go give those reviews. And my promise is to you guys is that I will continue spending my time, my energy, and my money to make the show bigger and bigger if you would simply go do that small thing for me. In the meantime, we're going to go back to Tyler while you leave those reviews, and he's going to play you some music while you're leaving those reviews.
All right, here we go. Good?
Is that enough room?
Yeah, I think so. That's all you get.
Hey, we'll take it. Thank you, sir.
That was my first public performance.
Oh, wrong button. I was going to make the people clap for you. There it is. I don't know if you can hear that because you took your headphones off, but... Perfect. Brought to you by Costco. 90% of the things in this home. Sponsor us, please.
Yeah, Costco's a great company.
All right. Do you know where we're going next?
Conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories. So before we get into the specific one, what do you like? Do you like studying a lot of them, if that's the right word?
I wouldn't say that I spend a lot of time looking into them, but I just anytime there's a podcast about literally any conspiracy theory, I'll listen to it. So that's just kind of if there's ever a documentary on something like that, I will watch it. It's just another thing that's, I don't know, they're just fun to think about and they're entertaining to me.
They are. I don't watch that many, but I thoroughly enjoyed watching MH370, The Plane That Disappeared. It's a 3-part series on Netflix. Did you watch that by chance?
So, funny story. I did not watch it. I had it downloaded. and then I realized I had it downloaded for a flight, and then I was like, I probably shouldn't
Oh,
watch.
God.
Probably shouldn't watch this on a flight. So I didn't watch the Netflix documentary, but I've listened to several podcasts on it.
Okay, this is actually, I'm glad that you didn't, because since I didn't listen to any podcasts, I just watched the series. You've listened to podcasts, so I think that will actually make the conversation more interesting because we might bring some different perspectives in on it. So in case the audience doesn't know, here's just a very quick blurb about it. On March 8th, 2014, Yeah, my dyslexia really kicked in. I did the numbers wrong. On March 18, 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 disappeared from radar. 239 people were on board. 41 minutes after takeoff on a clear, calm night over the South China Sea, right after 1 a.m. and leaving Malaysian airspace, going into Vietnam airspace, the captain wishes everyone a good night, and 90 seconds later, the plane vanishes.
Or did it?
Or did it? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so first of all, I got to ask you, since you watched the documentary, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen the video of, I think it's like a satellite video of the 3 orbs?
No, they didn't cover this.
You need to look this up. Okay, so there was a video that came out, which I don't understand how this works, because it's like, I guess it was like a satellite video, but there's a video of the plane that's supposed to be MH370, and you see these 3 like bright orbs circling around it, and then there's a flash and the plane's gone and the orbs are gone. And that came out a couple months ago, and then everyone's like, oh, this is fake. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's fake. And then I listened to a podcast with this guy named Ashton Forbes, who's, I guess, like a big proponent of, like, this is a real thing. Like, this plane didn't just crash. Something happened to it. There's all these people debunked this video. I think you might have to pull up the video to see it, because it's crazy if it's real.
What should I type into YouTube?
I would type in MH370, I don't know, vanishing video. I'll see if I can find it, but it's crazy if it's real. But this guy, this Ashton Forbes guy, he has basically, from what I understand, debunked everything that the debunkers are saying, explains why it's fake. And again, I have no idea what I think. It's just...
Could it maybe be this one?
Yes. It looks like that. It's... Are the orbs? Or there's orbs? Yep, that's it.
Where is... Can you hear it on your end?
No.
Maybe it just says no volume? So for the audience, it's basically, you can see the plane... and it's white, and it's flying. Bear with us. This video is only about 40 more seconds. And there's
come
the
the
orb.
orbs.
And it's white, and it's sort of circling the plane. Now there's a second one. It's just another white dot. And now there's 3 circling the plane. And the plane is still flying. Still 3 orbs. It's continuing on. There's some clouds in the sky. And not too, maybe 4 orbs. And they're still circling. They're definitely moving, significantly smaller than the plane. The cadence at which they're moving is increased. Oh,
Yep, then it's gone. So that, I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's real or fake, but when I saw that video, I was like, holy shit. And if that is real, what is that?
What do you, let me just ask you this point blank. What do you think happened based off of what you've listened to?
I don't know anymore. I'm a very logical person, so I still think it just crashed, or there was some sort of issue on board and it just crashed. But this guy seems to think, so this Ashton Forbes guy seems to think that this is some sort of, we have some sort of technology that we can like transport large objects to other areas. And when I heard that, I was like, that's terrifying. But then the other part of me is like, there's no way.
Even in 2024, I feel like we probably haven't invented that.
I know. So then that means, is it aliens? Would you be more scared if it was aliens or if humans had that technology?
I don't know if scared is the right word, because I do think that there probably is life out there, and it's not necessarily something to be feared. Like,
Yeah.
what if it's just something slightly different than us? I think if we had that technology, that'd be sort of sick, because I hate flying. So what if like there is something
See,
new? Where
you went a totally different direction. I was just thinking nefarious things that people would do with that. And you went, I want to get to Paris faster.
yeah, I did. I'm like, how can we make this available to civilians?
yeah.
You know, which would you be more scared of?
I think I would be more scared if it was humans.
Why?
I just don't think that. I think most people are good, but I definitely think in the wrong hands that could be bad. And I don't know. I just think humans aren't perfect, and that would be a scary technology for any country to have.
Humans are definitely not perfect. I do wonder sometimes if there are aliens and if they're watching us and if they're looking at like what we're going to war over, they're like, why did they like decide to draw the lines in the sand here, and why are they fighting over it? Like, why don't they just like share?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the ignorant optimist in me, where I'm just wondering like,
Why can't we all get along?
sorta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard any of the so there's three prominent theories that the docu-series go over. One is that the pilot killed everyone. One is that Russians hijacked the plane.
Always blaming the Russians.
Always blaming the Russians. I'm going to get canceled for this episode. Thanks, brother. And then the third is that the Americans intercepted it. Did you hear about any of these three theories?
I heard about the Russians and I heard about the pilot, and I think didn't they say that he had the flight path on his flight simulator or something?
So yeah, thank you. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you. Let's go there right now. So he had a flight simulator at home. I guess that's very common amongst pilots, that they love flying. So one of the ways they can fly is to practice at home. And so the path that they deviated on was he did it. He was practicing the incorrect path away from Beijing, back over Malaysia, and then down south into the Indian Ocean. What was weird that I'm wondering if you heard was that the FBI apparently got their hands on the simulator very early on, but they kept it to themselves for 2 years.
That's not suspicious.
So why would they, A, not share that information with the other countries that, like Malaysia, that were also running their own investigative efforts? And B, why did it take them so long to make that information public knowledge?
Yeah.
Like, why were they keeping that for themselves?
I don't know. They're up to something. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's crazy. Like,
they're up to something.
Yeah. And like this Ashton Forbes guy, I don't know. Like I'm just saying what I heard on the podcast. I don't really know what I believe, but the other thing that he was talking about is he said that there were a lot of important people. I don't know if they were Chinese or from Taiwan, but they were really important people to some semiconductor industry. And that this is crazy talk, so I don't know how true this guy is, but he was saying that he thinks maybe that the U.S. intercepted this plane to keep these people from going to Beijing because they knew important information about semiconductors that would get China ahead of us or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. This guy's a little crazy, but it's just interesting to hear all these different theories.
Do you want any more bourbon?
No, I'm good with the water for now.
That sounds similar to the interception theory. So that one is that right before the plane took off, 2.2 tons of communication equipment, stuff as simple as like walkie-talkies, showed up to the plane under security with like an escort, right? It showed up with an escort. It did not go through x-rays or was checked by security. It was loaded directly onto the plane. And this theory goes that the Americans sent two AWACS to basically they can take they have a technology to make planes disappear from radar. So they make it disappear and then did either one of two things. They either just shot it down so that equipment, that 2.2 tons of equipment never made it to China, or they crashed another plane into it and essentially thought the sacrifice of the 239
Yeah.
235 passengers and then 14 crew, I think was the split. But that was another one that came up that's similar to yours.
Yeah, and that's kind of reminded me. He also said that he claims that somebody saw the plane on fire and that there was a bunch of lithium-ion batteries in that cargo container, and I'm wondering if that's what that case was, which you're not supposed to put those in the cargo whatever of a plane. Like they have all those warning signs to make sure you don't have your e-cigarettes or whatever in your checked bag. So I wonder if, I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but this guy claims that there were lithium-ion batteries in the cargo bay and they exploded, but then I don't really understand how that comes in with the orbs and stuff.
Right. What would you do if you got the news that, let's say your girlfriend was on a flight and you found out that the plane disappeared? It's day one. It's been gone for like 12 hours. How do you think you'd react?
This might be a little morbid. I would just assume she's dead. I would just be like the plane blew up or it's crashed, and I don't know. I think that would be my initial thought. As morbid as that is, I don't know. I don't think you survive a plane crash.
So one of the questions I was going to ask you is, do you think any of those 239 people are still alive? And it sounds like your answer is a resounding no.
Well, a logical side of me, no, I think the plane just crashed, but it's just fun to talk about these wild conspiracy theories.
According to CNN, $132 million was invested in searching for the MH370. And they sent out, apparently, between all the 3 different nations, I think it is Britain, America, Malaysia, and Australia. So 4 different main parties sent out 40 ships and 34 planes. And between those 40 ships, the 34 planes, and the $132 million that they spent, they found nothing.
I know, it doesn't make any sense. How is that possible?
Because the globe's not that big.
And so this was another thing that I heard, that supposedly in that area where they went down, I think it was the U.S. and some other country were doing like naval drills in that area, and they didn't know about it. Which I would think you'd at least have some sort of indication, or it would be on radar or something if you're in that area.
There was give me 1 second. Flight MH370 did not only fly over 6 countries, but it also flew over an Australian-controlled airbase, Butterworth, and yet they didn't scramble a single jet when the flight flew over them, nor did they even pick up on it in an airspace that's highly monitored.
Yeah, like, how's that possible? It's crazy.
It's as I was watching these and taking these notes, I'm just like, so a civilian plane flew over an airbase and they just didn't notice?
Yeah.
Are they that lazy? Is the technology that bad? Were the orbs protecting them?
Orbs.
With the orbs?
Yeah, I don't know. I never even really was that interested in it until I saw that orb video, and then my mind just went crazy.
About?
What happened to it? I was like, I just assumed it crashed, but then the orb stuff, and then it's like, well, what if that's some crazy technology and they zapped it somewhere else?
What do you think? I thought I wrote down, I think it was about 2 years and 2 months after the original incident, since we don't know that it was a crash, we'll call it an incident, that Malaysia suspended their search. What do you think about what do you think about that? So same scenario. Let's say American flight disappears. Sure, you assume that whoever you knew on that flight was dead. Would you have an expectation that the government continues to work for answers, whether it takes 10 years and who knows how much money, or do you think that was reasonable that the government suspended the search after 2 years?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it makes sense that they stopped, but like this was just such a crazy thing. Like planes don't just disappear, so I feel like you should try to figure out what happened, because this is like an anomaly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One thing I thought that was also interesting is that the British company Inmarsat the area that they gave to search for the plane in the South Indian Ocean was 120,000 square kilometers, which, to give you some context, the state of Texas is 260. So that means it was slightly less than half the size of Texas.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very big for a plane search, I feel like, in the middle of the ocean.
I feel like that's huge.
You think? I don't know, I guess.
You think that an area the size of half of Texas? That seems like a huge area to have to, because think about it.
Yeah, I guess if they had a general idea of where it crashed, I guess that is a lot.
Because all the water's moving.
The water's moving.
There's the greatest, smartest statement I've made all night. There's waves, you know.
If you get anything out of this podcast, water moves.
Water does move.
That's the most important thing that we've discovered tonight.
That's like, I asked my buddy, I was having dinner last night, we were talking about going back to the childhood thing, like maternal instincts, is it only in women? And I sort of gave my rant, and then he started his next sentence with, well, I've never been a woman, but, and I was just like,
You think?
thanks for clarifying that statement. So that's been the last 24 hours. Water moves, and Drew has never been a woman. Good to know. What I more meant to say was that the area that they gave them also had waves that were as high as 70 feet. So it's not like it's like a lake or a river where it's just gentle movement. I mean, this water is fucking, like, it's shifting things around. So even that 120,000 square foot area that they gave them to search for, it's like, well, how do we know that these 70 fucking foot waves didn't push it way out of that zone?
And then also I think that I heard that they're able to kind of figure out where the current's going and where it should have ended up, where the debris would end up. They never found it, not to my knowledge.
Do you know who Blaine Allen Gibson is?
Is that the eccentric guy that was like the treasure hunter guy that said he found it? Yeah.
What do you think about his story and his claims?
I haven't listened to exactly what he said, but from what I've heard, he just happened to happen to find a piece of the plane that had the number on it or whatever. It was kind of like a ridiculous, like, oh, I just happened to find it type of thing.
Well, and I had the same thought, because going back to those numbers, if you have 4 different governments spending over $100 million, did I say $100 million?
Yeah, and some random guy found it.
They spent over $100 million, and they had over 74 different ships and planes looking for it, and then this guy goes out to one beach for 2 hours and just happens upon it.
Just found it.
Either that is coincidence, or the other side of it is they think the Russians planned it on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could be wrong, but I think that guy had a checkered past. Like, I think he's like a treasure hunter or something, and supposedly found some other rare items that nobody's been able to find. So he might not have been the best source, most reliable person.
He's a modern day, significally less sexy Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Does he have a whip and a nice hat, or no?
No, and he
No whip, no hat.
And he doesn't have the Harrison Ford's looks or body either. He's a
Then I don't trust him. If he doesn't have a whip and a nice hat, I don't trust him. That's why I want my explorers.
So let me ask you something. With this and all conspiracy theories, how much do you think we just don't know that different governments are hiding from us? Like a shit ton?
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I think we pretty much all but know JFK was assassinated by the government. And I don't know, like, I'm also fascinated by aliens and UFOs and stuff, and I'm sure we have technology that everyone's saying is UFO tech or alien technology that the military has or these companies are developing. But I don't know, it's just fun to think about, like, all the wild stuff that could potentially be real.
I'm glad that you think it's fun to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't keep myself up at night thinking about all this stuff, but it's just another entertaining thing to think about and just be like, well, what if?
Yeah, I guess for me, it definitely is not going to keep me up at night. It more just makes me speculative, like any truth that any political.
It just
like
makes you
CNN,
question things
Fox,
a little bit more.
I don't care who the source is. It just makes me want to question everything.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I don't think the mainstream media is giving you the whole truth.
No, they're not. Did it make you... Does it make you? Do you think that as you study conspiracy theories, does it make you question? Let's put politics aside, but just like, do you feel like you've just become more of a curious person about anything that's presented to you?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely am like, well, why is it? And not again, not necessarily turning this political or whatever, but like, why is the government telling us this thing, or why are they, saying it's this? And you kind of makes you question. I just question things more, I guess, and again, not necessarily that I believe all these conspiracy theories, but it's just fun to think about and kind of question and be like, well, what if?
Yeah, it was fun to watch, man. That was a super fun docuseries. I didn't see that you had submitted your form until Wednesday night, and then I looked it up on Netflix. I didn't know that it existed. I just started on Netflix to see, like, let's see if there's something here. And there's 3 50-minute episodes. And I was like, cool, I got 36 hours to watch all 3 of these. Because I do like to come to stuff somewhat educated.
Yeah, you were a little bit more educated on it than me. I just listened to a couple podcasts.
I thought it was going to be the other way around. Yeah, no, man, it was super fun to watch. And I think that you've opened up a new door for me for entertainment. And when I sit back in the evening to watch,
Yeah, you gotta
dog,
check out those Orb videos a little bit more. And Ashton Forbes, he might be a kook, but I don't know. He had some good points.
When you first said Ashton, my mind immediately went to Kutcher, and I was like, "Where is this going?"
Yeah, it's like I guess the only other semi-famous Ashton.
I don't know any Ashtons other than Kutcher. I have one Ashton that was a friend in high school. Haven't talked to her in over a decade, and that's it.
I don't know any Ashtons.
No, they're not. There's not many of them.
No, I don't think so.
Tyler, we're not necessarily ending right now, but before I forget to say it, I want to say thank you for being here tonight. This is super kind of you on the week that you're moving, day after a holiday, on a Friday night, to come over here, hang out with me and Thad in the audience. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we talked a lot of serious stuff and then ended on a silly note. So
we did.
So I think that's a perfect ending.
If anyone has any comments on MH370, if you're listening on Spotify, there is a place where if you go into the episode, I think it poses a question that says, what kind of guests do you want to see in the future or something like that? But really, you can type in anything. So if you would like to share any of your ideas with us, you can do that. If you're watching on YouTube, you already know this. You can comment on the video. So comment on what you think happened to the plane or just anything silly, serious, or anything in between regarding that. We have a closing tradition that I started in 2024 on this podcast where I take questions that I really like from the shows that I listen to, and I ask them of my guests to see how you guys happen to answer. And I think the one I want to ask you is, I like this one for you. When you reach the end of your life, what do you think will have brought you the most joy? And do you think that's going to be the thing that you're most proud of?
That is a very deep question. What was it again?
What will have brought you the most, when you reach the end of your life, what will have brought you the most joy? And is that also the thing that you're going to be the most proud of?
That is a difficult question. Well, hopefully my future family was what brings me the most joy.
I knew you were going to say that.
I hope. I don't know. I think that's my answer for now. I don't know. That's a very deep question. I think I would need to ponder a little bit longer to give you a good question or a good answer.
I do think that if your wife and kids brought you the most joy, it would sort of make sense that you'd also be proud of them.
Yeah.
Because if your kids, let's say, were getting into a lot of trouble, maybe had problems with like drugs or the police, or just didn't really make much of their lives, or like in a worst case scenario, they landed on the street and they were homeless, you're probably not going to be like, wow, I'm so proud of my kids.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it's a reflection of you. How about this? Can I ask you a question to close?
Yeah.
All right. This was an interview question I had when I was interviewing for jobs, and I still think it's like my favorite question anybody's ever asked me. Do you hate to lose or love to win?
That's one of your favorite questions.
I love that question.
Why do you love it?
I don't know. I had never thought about it that way, and I think this is something that I need to work on. I need to celebrate my wins more, but I hate losing, and I feel like you're just supposed to win. And that's not like, I'm not talking about necessarily games or whatever, but just in life in general, in work, like I think you're supposed to win at work. And when you do well in work, like when I do well in my job, like I just kind of like, okay, whatever, I'm supposed to do that. And I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting question.
I wonder if I'd get automatically disqualified from the job for not answering the question and spinning it back. But to answer it, I love to win and I don't hate to lose. But I do think it depends on the context. The reason why I love to win is because I'm putting everything through the filter of the podcast these days. And I am hoping that whether this brings someone entertainment from their own stress, whether it brings them motivation to go pick up the guitar that's been sitting in the corner of the room, whatever these episodes do for them, I just hope it moves people's lives in somewhat of a positive manner. And it just gets people moving, doing stuff that they've always wanted to do, doing life better, taking us up on the hacks we gave you, whatever it is. The losing one, it really depends on the context. Because if I'm playing like a game of Risk with someone and I'm losing, I might get pretty frustrated.
Yeah.
But like at work, man, I don't think I hate to lose. I'm not a bad loser. I'm not a sore loser. I know some people that are.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I'm a sore loser, but I'm one of those people that like I feel like I should succeed. And I expect to succeed, and I don't want to fail, which, again, that's probably something I should work on, but sometimes you gotta grow from failure.
Yeah, no, I think, a phrase that Lori Grenier on Shark Tank says often is that the sharpest swords are forged in fire. And so I've asked 70 people on this episode, and maybe I'll ask you for your final question. When you think about the depression and the anxiety that you went through and anything else that was perceived as negative that we didn't talk about it, if you could go back and magically change any of it, would you?
No, I don't think I would, because it made me realize it made me learn how to make myself happy and know that I can, if I'm ever in that situation again, like I know how to make myself happy. I don't need to rely on anything or anybody else. I can do it myself.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, and a final one for real, unless you have more for me. I would have I like to set the bar high. And if I would say this, what I would like to see this specific episode accomplish is that we go to the same gym. So there are probably people that will watch this episode and they will recognize you. Probably like some of the teens I mentioned specifically. And let's say one of them was sort of in a dark spot right now and they came up to you in the middle of your workout and said, "Hey, I listened to your episode. I was wondering if I could just bend your ear for a few minutes about my life." Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think,
yeah.
Don't be afraid. I know I was just saying I would never go up to anybody in the gym, but
you don't mind people approaching you.
I don't mind people approaching me. And, if you're really struggling out there, like, I know it can be scary and you can feel like, you're never going to get out of it. But sometimes just talking to somebody can help. And, I've been through it and I'd be more than willing to help whoever. If somebody wants help, I'd be more than willing to try to get them on the right track.
Right on. So if you see him, go up, say hi. He'll talk to you. Guys, thank you for tuning into this episode. I really appreciate it. We're going to get you and Tyler out of here. Have a happy and healthy Saturday night, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.